Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll do this short. This is a reading from the Srimad bhagavatam, 10th canto, and this is a translation by Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The title of the 10th canto is the Summon Bonum. So chapter 9, Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna, and I'll read this chapter summary. While Mother Yashoda was allowing Krishna to drink her breast milk, she was forced to stop because she saw the milk pan overflowing over on an oven. The maid servants being engaged in other businesses, she stopped allowing Krishna to drink from her breast and immediately attended to the overflowing milk pan. Krishna became very angry because of his mother's behavior and devised a means of breaking the pots of yogurt. Because he created this disturbance, Mother Yashoda decided to bind him. These incidents are described in this chapter. One day, the maidservants being engaged in other work, Mother Yashoda was churning the yogurt into butter herself, and in the meantime Krishna came and requested her to allow him to suck her breast milk. Of course, Mother Yashoda immediately allowed him to do so, but then she saw that the hot milk on the oven was boiling over, and therefore she immediately stopped allowing Krishna to drink the milk of her breast, and went to stop the milk on the oven from overflowing. Krishna, however, having been interrupted in his business of sucking the breast, was very angry. He took a piece of stone, broke the churning pot, and entered a room, where he began to eat the freshly churned butter. When Mother Yashoda, after attending to the overflowing milk, returned and saw the pot broken, she could understand that this was the work of Krishna, and therefore she went to search for him. When she entered the room, she saw Krishna standing on the ulakala, a large mortar for grinding spices. Having turned the mortar upside down, he was stealing butter hanging from a swing and was distributing the butter to the monkeys. As soon as Krishna saw that his mother had come, he immediately began to run away, and Mother Yashoda began to follow him. After going some distance, Mother Yashoda was able to catch Krishna, who, because of his offence, was crying. Mother Yashoda, of course, threatened to punish Krishna if he acted that way again, and she decided to bind him with rope. Unfortunately, when the time came to knot the rope with which she wanted to bind him was short by a distance equal to the width of 2 fingers. When she made the rope longer by adding another rope, she again saw that it was short by 2 fingers. Again and again she tried, and again she found the rope too short by 2 fingers. Thus she became very tired, and Krishna, seeing his affectionate mother so tired, allowed himself to be bound. Now, being compassionate, he did not show her his unlimited potency. After Mother Yashoda bound Krishna and became engaged in other household affairs, Krishna observed the 2 Yamala Arjuna trees, which were actually Nala Kavera and Madhugriva, the 2 sons of Kavera, who had been condemned by Narada Muni to become trees. Krishna, by his mercy, now began to proceed toward the trees to fulfill the desire of Narada Muni. So this is text number 1. Srila Sukadev Goswami continued. One day, when Mother Yashoda saw all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her way she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all these activities. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from the Vishnanatha Chusani of Srila Sanatana Goswami, says that the incident of Krishna breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yashoda took place on the Dwipavali day, or Deepa Malika. Even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and lights, especially in Bombay. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yashoda's cows ate only grasses so flavourful that the grasses would automatically flavour the milk. Mother Yashoda wanted to collect the milk from these cows, make it into yogurt and churn it into butter personally, since she thought that this child Krishna was going to the houses of neighbourhood gopas and gopis to steal butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily prepared. While churning the butter, Mother Yashoda was singing about the childhood activities of Krishna. It was formerly a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry, or have this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yashoda did not want to forget Krishna's activities at any time, and therefore she poeticized all of Krishna's childhood activities. Interesting, isn't it? Such as the killing of Putana, Aghasura, Sukatasura and Trinavata, and while churning the butter she sang about these activities in poetical form. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. Interesting, eh? This instance shows how Krishna conscious Mother Yashoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. That's really interesting. So who's writing poetry about Krishna? I'm writing poetry about how miserable the material world is. So thank you, philosophy. Getting close. It was quite funny. But that's really interesting, because we can see this, that we analyse a statement that Prabhupada says, and to remember something, you poeticize it. So rhyming couplets, things like this. If you want to remember something, you put it into a rhyme, thing like that. You remember doing that when you were younger or whatever, so it was quite interesting, really fascinating. So Mother Yashoda was so Krishna conscious, she wrote poetry all about Krishna's pastimes so she wouldn't forget it. And that is true. I've written poetry for 30 years ago, and you don't forget. You don't forget it if it's good. You forget it if it isn't good. But I'm just saying you do actually remember things, and Krishna, if you put them into poetry. Was it? It was one, because the girl is sad. It reminds me of Krishna, actually. There was one actually poem, and I wrote it, and I didn't know about Lord Chaitanya's pastime as a fisherman. The fisherman in Lord Chaitanya's pastime, he gets caught in the nets of a fisherman. He's swimming in the sea, and he gets caught in the nets of a fisherman, and the fisherman drags him from the sea, and he's in ecstasy, and he's elongated and white and all foam over the mouth, and the fisherman doesn't know who he is, and he touches him, and he goes into ecstasy, but he thinks it's a ghost. He's been influenced by a ghost. And then Lord Chaitanya's devotees arrive, and they calm him down. He says, no, I'll say a few mantras, and they say a few it's gone now, the ghost is gone now, or whatever, And then eventually the fisherman realises that it was love of God. He had ecstasy because he touched Lord Chaitanya. So anyway, before I joined the movement, there was this thing. I wrote this song called the Fisherman's Friends, and he goes, swimming beneath the sea in raptures, such ecstasy, friends cannot say what your net's dragged in today. He's got arms, feet and hands, and all alone he stands. What future, such ecstasy, swimming beneath the deep blue sea. And it was a very simple poem, and I called it The Fisherman's Friend. So where did that come in? I was thinking of Fisherman's Friends, which is a very strange thing. But anyway, my favourite sweets at the time were Fisherman's Friends. But we have that when we do Kirtan, you loads of it. If you want to stay awake, if you're driving late at night, whack in the Fisherman's Friends and you'll be all right. Apparently someone told me that if you chew, if your mouth is always chewing, you won't fall asleep. And also all the stuff that's in the Fisherman's Friends will keep you awake. Was it you saying that? Oh, I'm trying to stay awake now. Hey Krishna, you know.
When you're talking.
Very interesting. So anyway, we can test out these. Interesting that obviously Krishna consciousness is real. So these things happen. You know why that happened. I just don't know. I've still got to put it to music. I put it to music once, and then I've got to put it to music again because I can't. I lost all my gear. Went. So I've still got to put it to music. I've got to record it. So I have to do it before I leave my body. Anyway, Hare Krishna. One should meditate on death every day. That's interesting, isn't it? It's hardcore, that is. Okay then. So there's something else I wanted to mention here. Yeah. Oh yeah. Something about milk. Okay. I'm trying to recall it, but I can't recall it. I wanted to say something, comment on the verse. Okay, so we're going to go to the next chapter. This is next text. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yashoda pulled on the churning rope. Labouring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking because of her intense love for her child. Her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. So also, you must remember, everything it's all spiritual. It's all spiritual. It's very, very unusual. The malati flowers are spiritual. The milk's spiritual. They've all got personalities. Anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the bodily features of Mother Yashoda. It is not that one should desire to become like Yashoda, for this is Mayavad. Either in parental affection or conjugal love, friendship or servitorship, in any way we must follow in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, not try to become like them. Therefore, this description is provided here. Advanced devotees must cherish this description. Always think of Mother Yashoda's features, how she was dressed, how she was working and perspiring, how beautifully the flowers are arranged in her hair, and so on. One must take advantage of the full description provided here by thinking of Mother Yashoda in maternal affection for Krishna. So again, a brilliant statement. Anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the bodily features of Mother Yashoda. It is not that one should desire to become like Yashoda, for this is Mayavad. That's interesting, isn't it? Why? Why is it Mayavad? Because
everything is one.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. They believe everything is one. So we're all individuals. We're all individuals. So why would you want to be like? It's funny actually when you see this all pervading thing. You want to be like the rock stars. You want to be like the film stars. You want to take their position, isn't it? So you want to be them, and because if we were all them, it'd be such a boring world, wouldn't it? Everyone was the same. You know what I mean? So, but we're all individuals, as Krishna says. Never was a time that I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor the future shall any of us cease to be. And when you meet people, I met some Mayavadis the other week, and they were in Dublin, and one of the things I couldn't get over was they're going, I feel so blissed out. It's I. I was thinking, what's this I stuff if you're Mayavadi? Well, what is it? Because it's all, you merge into the formless absolute, and there's no I. Is there?
No.
There's no I? That's it? When he's going, oh, give us a break, man. Anyway, and also I was reading today about Sukadev Goswami, and that's definite proof that when we develop a personal relationship with the Supreme, that the bliss is unsurpassed, unsurpassed, and the bliss contained, the bliss experienced in the impersonal conception is like the bliss, like water in the hoof prints of a cow, compared to a never-ending ocean of bliss in the personal conception. So it's just uncomparable, totally uncomparable. But try telling that to Mayavadi. While Mother Shoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her, and in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. Purport: Krishna was sleeping within the room, and as soon as he got up, he became hungry and went to his mother. Wanting to stop her from churning and drink the milk of her breasts, he stopped her from moving the churning rod. Interesting. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowing him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. Although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. Was that right or wrong?
No,
Is it right or wrong? Should she have left Krishna and gone to attend for the milk, which is overflowing?
She could go with Krishna.
Votes.
She could go with Krishna together.
Yeah, I could have done that, perhaps. No, because she would. No.
It is not a modern, it is not a modern oven when you can do it with one hand.
no.
No. But the reply is brilliant. Everything in the household affairs of Mother Yashoda was meant for Krishna. Although Krishna was drinking the breast milk of Mother Yashoda, when she saw the milk pan in the kitchen was overflowing, she had to take care of it immediately, and thus she left her son, who then became very angry, not having been fully satisfied with drinking the milk of her breast. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Yashoda was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. On the platform of love and affection, it is the duty of the devotee to do one thing first and other things later. The proper intuition by which to do this is given by Krishna. In Krishna consciousness, everything is dynamic. Krishna guides the devotee to do what to do first and what to do next on the platform of the absolute truth. But this we can only experience when we're fully engaged in Krishna consciousness with unflinching devotion. And then the super soul will be reached. Krishna will guide you from within, but you've got to be constantly engaged with the unflinching devotion. As in obviously Mother Yashoda is. Because why was Mother Yashoda? She's always constantly engaged, but remember she's singing. When we're doing something, sometimes devotees say, I find it really hard to think about Krishna and distribute books at the same time, or when I'm cleaning the boats, whatever. I just get into the activity. Or when I was drowning, I found it quite hard to think about Krishna. Anyway. But if you concentrate on making up that poetry, because poetry is really beautiful, it really hangs there. It hangs there in the mind, and like you say, the time of death, all these stupid songs come into your mind, or they can do, or you might be thinking of something, and a song will come into your mind, and you're trying to get it out, and you don't even like the song. That ever happened to you? You don't even like it. It's like, what's that doing in there? I don't even like it, So what we can do, we can dovetail that propensity with music. So you can, you can write poetry and sing it and that will replace all the nonsense. Hopefully, well, Jaidev told me that once. He said if he had a tune in his head that he couldn't get rid of, he'd just put the Hare Krishna mantra to it, whatever. Well, there's that one, the famous Iggy Pop one, Passenger. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's like Krishna Das did that. Not that we're supposed to be listening to my body for that. But at least he showed that you can do that, So that's quite interesting. Hare Krishna.
That way you can just chant all day long.
Yeah, you can chant all day long, yeah. It used to amaze me because some people, they don't, when I first joined the movement, I used to love the, Hare Krishna, the tape version of Prabhupada singing, chanting with the devotees. And I could listen to that track all day long. Just the one, over and over again. And it wouldn't bother, all day long I could listen to it. I could still listen to it all day long. And some people would get on there, I thought, what's wrong with you? Hare Krishna, you know what I mean? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So text 5. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna and allowed him to sit down on her lap and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. So we read this bit. Okay. Being very angry and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, Krishna, with false tears in his eyes, broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone, and then he entered a room and began to eat the freshly churned yogurt in a solitary place. We can do that as well, can't we? We can steal Maha. I can eat it in a solitary place, as long as you're not caught. I remember one terrible confession here. I was in Surrey Street, and it was a Sankirtan festival, and some devotee, they'd won the Sankirtan prize, and it was some burfis, and they went to the toilets and they left the burfis just outside the toilet on a ledge. And then I saw them, and I remember a famous line from Oscar Wilde: "I can resist anything but temptation." And I took them, and I felt a little bit guilty, so I shared them with someone else. I never told him. I know that was really funny. I wouldn't tell him he'd kill me. But I'm joking. That was really funny. Hare Krishna. Things happen. Anyway. That's bad. Hare Krishna. I remember, and there was one, this is terrible. There was one pastime where one devotee went into the bajari, and there was all these burfis, loads of them, and they were all covered, and I thought, oh, that's a tray from the offering, and he took them all. Oh, she took them all. I won't say she. I think it was it. I know who it was. Anyway, he took them all, and then there was an announcement the next day at Mangalati, and they know what they said. And we'd just like to inform the person who stole the burfi sweets yesterday at yesterday's Mangalati that they were supposed to be offered to Krishna. They were not offered. That's what they told him. And then a tray of burfi sweets miraculously appeared the next day. Yeah. That was funny. You've got to be careful. Mother showed how much time we got?
All the time in the room.
All the time in the world. Mother Yashoda, after taking down the hot milk from the stove, returned to the churning spot. And when she saw that the container of yogurt was broken and that Krishna was not present, she concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Krishna. She saw the pot broken and Krishna was not present. Yashoda definitely concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Krishna. There was no doubt about it. That's the purport. Wow. Krishna at the time was sitting on an upside down wooden mortar for grinding spices and was distributing milk preparations such as yogurt and butter to the monkeys as he liked. Because of having stolen, he was looking all around with great anxiety, suspecting that he might be chastised by his mother. Mother Yashoda, upon seeing him, very cautiously approached him from behind. Report. Mother Yashoda was able to trace Krishna by following his butter-smeared footprints. She saw that Krishna was stealing butter, and thus she smiled. Meanwhile, the crows also entered the room and came out in fear. Thus Mother Yashoda found Krishna stealing butter and very anxiously looking here and there. So how did she follow Krishna? The butter-stained footprints. That's quite funny. So text 9. When Lord Shri Krishna saw his mother, stick in hand, he very quickly got down from the top of the mortar and began to flee as if very much afraid. All those yogis tried to capture him as Paramatma by meditation, desiring to enter into the effulgence of the Lord with great austerities and penances. They failed to reach him. But Mother Yashoda, thinking the same personality of Godhead, Krishna, to be her son, began following Krishna to catch him. Hare Krishna. Are you translating? Oh, good. Very good. Very nice. Yogis, mystics, want to catch Krishna as Paramatma, and with great austerities and penances they try to approach him. They cannot. Here we see, however, that Krishna is going to be caught by Yashoda and is running away in fear. This illustrates the difference between the Bhakta and the yogi. Yogis cannot reach Krishna, but for pure devotees like Mother Yashoda, Krishna is already caught. Krishna was even afraid of Mother Yashoda's stick. This was mentioned by Queen Kunti in her prayers. Krishna is afraid of Mother Yashoda and yogis are afraid of Krishna. Yogis try to reach Krishna by Gyan Yoga and other yogas but fail. Yet although Mother Yashoda was a woman, Krishna was afraid of her as clearly described in this verse. Next verse. While following Krishna, Mother Yashoda, her thin waist overburdened by her heavy breasts, naturally had to reduce her speed. Because of following Krishna very swiftly, her hair became loose, and the flowers in her hair were falling after her. Yet she did not fail to capture her son Krishna. Purport. Yogis cannot capture Krishna by severe penances and austerities, but Mother Yashoda, despite all obstacles, was finally able to catch Krishna without difficulty. This is the difference between the yogi and the bhakta. Yogis cannot even enter the effulgence of Krishna. In that effulgence there are millions of universes, but yogis and jnanis cannot enter that effulgence even after many, many years of austerities, whereas bhaktas can capture Krishna simply by love and affection. This is the example shown here by Mother Yashoda. Krishna therefore confirms that if one wants to capture him, one must undertake devotional service. Bhaktas enter even the planets of Krishna very easily, but less intelligent yogis and jnanis by their meditations remain running after Krishna. Even if they enter Krishna's effulgence, they fall down. Wow, that's a heavy one. So that's it. We pursue or execute devotional service, then that dormant love of Krishna, which is present inside every single living entity, will manifest. And if you're lucky, sooner. If you're lucky, later. But whatever, you have to be patient. You got to be patient. It doesn't matter what. And there's an interesting verse in I always mention this. There's an interesting verse in Nectar of Instruction. I think it's text 3, where it says in the purport, he actually says devotional service is so perfect that once having begun it, even a little bit, just a little bit of devotional service, just a tinge of devotional service, once having begun it, one is forcibly dragged to perfection. It's quite amazing. So you see, so once we've begun it, we will reach perfection without doubt, because devotional service is that powerful. And so we can read back in the history of Krishna consciousness, and we see, oh, this happened, that happened, this, blah, 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 that happened, this, that, and blah, blah, blah. The persons, or the personalities that we're reading about helped establish Krishna consciousness in the Western world under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada. And whether whatever happened to them afterwards, according to this statement from the Nectar of Instruction, they will be forcibly dragged to perfection. So there's no need to worry. And Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Even a little bit of devotional service protects one from the most dangerous type of fear, which is to be born in the animal kingdom. The animal, really heavy, being an animal, really heavy, man. Hare Krishna. You hear people thinking, oh, I'd like to be a bird. And then all of a sudden an eagle comes, bash, smash and eat you, you know. You do that, they do that, you know, kites. Or a bang, yeah, exactly. Well, you know, imagine, you know, being smashed and your talons, the talon is so sharp, and they get you straight in the heart. That's what they do. They smash right into the bird and get it straight in the heart, you know, and that's it, you're gone, you know. And then and if you're lucky, otherwise you get your eyes pecked out, you know. And they go for the softer parts, you know. And there was a nest of little chicks. This is how nasty the material world is. There's a nest of little chicks across the road from our house, and one day we heard this big commotion, you know, and the magpies attacking the nest, and a big tall chimney, you know, about 10 feet high, and it was on top of ironically an undertaker's, a funeral parlour, and then the magpies were attacking, and the birds, they were little birds, and they didn't stick a chance. The mother and father were trying to, you know, and they were making all the commotion. It wasn't the magpies, they were clinical, you know, they were going for the chicks, and that was it. No more family, no more chicks, you know, that was it. They had no chance. And then another time I saw this magpie. It was running along this fence, the bottom of a fence, and he was chasing something, and he was chasing a squirrel. The squirrel had something in its arms, a little baby, and the magpie was after the baby. Amazing stuff that happens, you know. And then obviously you got roadkill. And oh my God, I saw a cow roadkill. That was near Belfast. No, near Inniskillen. We were coming back from Sankirtan, and there's some cows had drifted onto the highway. And obviously, you know, people in the West are so stupid they don't slow down. And one smashed into a cow, you know. That was it. That's heavy. That's really heavy, you know. And I realised that this modern world, totally against the principles of God, totally against it, you know. Really. And then you get badgers and what else, you know, foxes and rabbits and, you know, seagulls and the whole thing, you know. Seagulls get blown into cars. I've seen that, you know. Yeah, that's heavy. There's so many things, you know. And I remember complaining to one woman. I says, I think cars should be banned from this road. That's what I said. Like, you know, I said, the roads were built for the horse and the cart. They weren't built for these killing machines we call cars, you know. They weren't built for that. They were not. That came later. I mean, I didn't say that to her, but it's a fact, you know. It is a fact. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Meanwhile, back to reality. When caught by Mother Yashoda, Krishna became more and more afraid and admitted to being an offender. As she looked upon him, she saw that he was crying, his tears mixing with the black ointment around his eyes, and as he rubbed his eyes with his hands, he smeared the ointment all over his face. Mother Yashoda, catching her beautiful son by the hand, mildly began to chastise him. They do that in India. You see the little kids with the makeup. Yeah? Yeah. They're good. It's really good. I'll have to get some. From these dealings between Mother Yashoda and Krishna, we can understand the exalted position of a pure devotee in loving service of the Lord. Yogis, Gyanis, Karmis, Vedantists cannot even approach Krishna. They must remain very, very far away from him and try to enter his bodily effulgence. Although this also they are unable to do. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva always worship the Lord by meditation and by service. Even the most powerful Yamaraj fears Krishna. Therefore, as we find in the history of Ajamil, Yamaraj instructed his followers not even to approach the devotees, what to speak of capturing them. In other words, Yamaraj also fears Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Yet this Krishna became so dependent on Mother Yashoda that when she simply showed Krishna the stick in her hand, Krishna admitted to being an offender and began to cry like an ordinary child. Mother Yashoda, of course, did not want to chastise her beloved child very much, and therefore she immediately threw her stick away and simply rebuked Krishna, saying, "Now I shall bind you so that you cannot commit any further offensive activities. Nor for the time being can you play with your playmates." This shows the position of a pure devotee, in contrast with others, like Gyanis, Yogis, and the followers of the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, in regarding the transcendental nature of the absolute truth. So I've heard also that Krishna likes to be chastised, but as you know, conditioned souls, we don't like to be. At least speak for myself. We don't like to be chastised. So there's one way you can figure out that you're not God. If people start chastising you, don't like it. Anyway, but obviously it's Krishna's devotees. Krishna likes it when his devotees chastise him. Yeah. Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of maternal affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son became excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities. Mother Yashoda wanted to bind Krishna not in order to chastise him, but because she thought that the child was so restless that he might leave the house in fear. That would be another disturbance, and therefore, because of full affection to stop Krishna from leaving the house, she wanted to bind him with rope. Mother Yashoda wanted to impress upon Krishna that since he was afraid merely to see her stick, he should not perform such disturbing activities as breaking the container of yogurt and butter and distribute its contents to the monkeys. Mother Yashoda did not care to understand who Krishna was and how powerful and how his power spreads everywhere. This is an example of pure love for Krishna. So if you've got pure love, you love Krishna no matter what. You don't care who he is. You just love him. It's interesting. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior, no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, he is all-pervading because he is not under the influence of the fire of the element of time. For him, there is no difference between past, present and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times. Being absolute beyond relativity, he is free from distinctions between cause and effect. Although he is the cause and effect of everything, that unmanifested person who is beyond the perception of the senses had now appeared as a human child, and Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope. Shall I finish at 8? Yeah, okay. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is described as the Supreme Brahman, Para Brahman, Param Dhaman. The word Brahma means the greatest. Krishna is greater than the greatest, being unlimited and all-pervading. How can it be possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound? Then again, Krishna is the time factor. Therefore, he is all-pervading, not only in space but also in time. We have measurements of time, but although we are limited by past, present and future, for Krishna, these do not exist. Every individual person can be measured, but Krishna has already shown that although he also is an individual, the entire cosmic manifestation is within his mouth. All these points considered, Krishna cannot be measured. How then did Yashoda want to measure him and bind him? We must conclude that this took place simply on the platform of pure transcendental love. This was the only cause. Everything is one because Krishna is the supreme cause of everything. Krishna cannot be measured or calculated by Vedic knowledge. He is available only to devotees. Devotees can handle him because they act on the basis of loving service. Thus, Mother Yashoda wanted to bind him. Text 15. When Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by distance the width of 2 fingers. Thus, she brought another rope to join it. Here is the first chapter in Krishna's exhibition of unlimited potency to Mother Yashoda. When she tried to bind him, the rope was too short. The Lord had already shown his unlimited potency by killing Putana, Sankateshwara and Chanavata. Now Krishna exhibited another vibhuti, or display of potency, to Mother Yashoda. Unless I agree, Krishna desired to show, you cannot bind me. Thus, although Mother Yashoda, in an attempt to bind Krishna, added rope after another one, ultimately she was a failure. And when Krishna agreed, however, she was successful. In other words, one must be in transcendental love with Krishna, but that does not mean that one can control Krishna. When Krishna is satisfied with one's devotional service, he does everything himself. Shivam bhukti hi jiva vato swayam eva spurati aha. He reveals more and more to the devotee as the devotee advances in service. This service begins with the tongue, with chanting, and with taking prasad of Krishna. So this is another thing. So we all chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And taking prasad. We all take prasad. Only prasad. Only prasad. I'm not asking. Toast. Bread from the shop. No, you make your own bread. I'm asking you. Make your own bread. Yes, no? Chapati. So it's important. If we got homes, I've got an excuse because I haven't got a home. If we got homes, then really we should make our own bread. Who makes chapatis? You make chapatis? Yes. Oh, good. Very good. Yeah, so we should at least make chapatis. It's easy to make chapatis. And that, I mean, I was living on mung dal and chapatis when I was in India for about 2.5 months, and I loved it. Every day, twice a day, and that was it, you know. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so very important to stick to these principles of chanting, and like I say, taking prasad. Often, obviously, it's offered to Krishna. So if we get a bit lazy, a bit slack, then we slip from the standard, and that reciprocation with Krishna is less likely to happen. Not saying it won't happen, because we don't know the overall flavour of the devotee, what the devotee does, but we should do everything to make ourselves more conducive to Krishna consciousness. So, you know, and the only person we're going to gain, you know, that's all you can do is gain. Like that, yeah. Okay. This rope was also short by a measurement of 2 fingers, and when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. Their shortness could not be overcome. Do you know why? I shouldn't make a comment on a verse without a purport, but I remember at Tribhuvannath lecture, and he said that in the spiritual world, there's what did he say? There's no addition and subtraction. Is it 1 plus 1 equals 1 and 1 minus 1 equals 1? Because it's unlimited. In mathematics, infinity plus infinity equals infinity, and we used to divide it by infinity. So 1 plus 1 equals 1. And that was it. That was just in normal mathematics. So it's just that the nature of the spiritual realm that there's no actual addition. That's why she couldn't. Obviously, it was Krishna's arrangement, because Krishna's in charge of the spiritual and the material energies. But that's why it was always too short, a certain distance too short, and it wasn't 3 inches too short. Sorry, 3 fingers or 4 fingers. It was always 2 fingers too short. And one represented the effort of the devotee, and the other one represents the mercy of Krishna. Anyway, I'll just go into this. Thus Mother Yashoda joined whatever ropes were available in the household, but still she failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. Yeah, this is it. Mother Yashoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighbourhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun, and similarly Mother Yashoda, although labouring in this way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder. Actually, this incident was wonderful because Krishna was only a child with small hands. To bind him should have required only a rope, not more than 2 feet long. All the ropes in the house combined together might have been hundreds of feet long, but still he was impossible to bind, for all the ropes together were still too short. Naturally, Mother Yashoda and her gopi friends thought, how is this possible? Seeing this funny affair, all of them were smiling. The first rope was short by measurement the width of 2 fingers, and after the second rope was added, it was still 2 fingers too short. If the shortness of all the ropes were added together, it must have amounted to the width of hundreds and hundreds of fingers. Certainly this was astonishing. This was another exhibition of Krishna's inconceivable potency to his mother and his mother's friends. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labour, her whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers and comb were falling from her hair. When child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. And he did the same thing with the Kaliya serpent, because he was bound by the Kaliya serpent. And when he saw that the Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj and all the inhabitants of Gokul were on the verge of death, then basically he expanded himself, and the Kaliya serpent was defeated. When Mother Yashoda and the other ladies finally saw that Krishna, although decorated with many bangles and other jewelled ornaments, could not be bound with all the ropes available in the house, they decided that Krishna was so fortunate that he could not be bound by any material condition. Thus they gave up the idea of binding him, but in competition with Krishna and his devotee, Krishna sometimes agrees to be defeated. And thus Krishna's internal energy, Yogamaya, was brought to work, and Krishna agreed to be bound by Mother Yashoda. So we're going to leave it there. Hare Krishna. Question? I hope it's not too difficult. Question.
So sometimes teachers say that it is enough to say Krishna's name to glorify the Lord, and then your soul will be saved. But some people, they may justify their bad works behind that. They think it's enough to say holy name, but they continue to do bad things. Then, so what's the case? I mean, sometimes you say that it's enough to say holy name and you will be brought to perfection, but then you can justify your bad behavior and you say, well, it's enough for me to say Krishna's name, holy name, and...
That's basically you chanting the holy name while committing offences. Yeah. That's what the situation is. It's enough to chant Krishna's name, holy name, if you're not making any offences. And then you'll be brought to perfection, because literally you are at perfection. The goal is to chant the holy name of the Lord offenselessly. But our conditioned nature, we're sinful and we're finding it difficult to chant the holy name. And gradually we begin on the offensive stage. We're making offences. We're not giving up the offences. Like, we might be eating meat, drinking alcohol, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, the whole lot. And we're not making any effort to move forward. So that's basically well, obviously, once you start reading Prabhupada's books, you give up those propensities. Once you start doing that, then at least you're making an effort, an arta and a vritti, to get off the offensive stage. So the offensive stage is where you're not taking it seriously. You're not taking the process seriously. You have to. We have to give up make the effort to give up the unwanted things. If you chant, for example, I mean, this is my own life. So one of my addictions is smoking. So I couldn't give that up, and so I was in a flat. I had a flat and stuff like that. So what I'd do is I'd chant one round of the Hare Krishna mantra before I had a cigarette. So I always chanted, and I made that vow. So if you'd smoke 20 a day, that's 20 rounds. That's a lot. So and I knew that you couldn't do both. The material and the spiritual cannot coexist in that sense. You can't be both material and spirit. You be one or the other. You've got to make a choice, So it wasn't. I didn't decide to give up smoking. I knew that it would just naturally go away because I understood that the holy name was more powerful. So, but I didn't put any pressure on myself to stop smoking. I would do that, and then eventually it just went. And that was it.
How many years did it take?
It didn't take years. It just took about 2 weeks or a week. That's how.
It wasn't a strong addiction?
It was.
For how many years?
I was smoking for 25 years. It was a strong addiction because I had, cancer scare and all that, and cutting my mouth up and all that sort of. Still, you wouldn't give it up. So it was a strong addiction. But my point is that if you make that vow that whatever your addiction is, if you can't give it up, I'm not saying do this, but if it's it does work. If you're struggling with some anatta or whatever it is, if you make that vow to chant one round of the Hare Krishna mantra before we do the nonsense, then you're dovetailing that anatta. You're addressing it, and you can't. You'll have to go. They can't both coexist, because you made your vow to, smoke cigarettes, or you got your addiction, which is some strange vow, involuntary vow, and all you're doing is making a determined action in the spiritual direction by making a vow to chant before you'd smoke, but it actually worked very, very, very powerfully, and that's all I can say to every devotee is individual. So, but anyway, for me that was testimony that the holy name's very purifying. So.
Question. So, but then if we get rid of all our addictions, maybe of course it's not possible, but still.
It is possible.
Yes, but then if we are all too good, won't we become too proud? Because I notice there are also many devotees who think too good of themselves. So another kind of vice, yes, thinking too good of oneself. So what to do then?
Well.
Maybe it's better to be a merciful sinner who is not.
This is a difficult one, isn't it? We must always try to be Sanitchayana. One must be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige. And in such a state of mind, one can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly. So what we must be concerned about is not other people. We must be concerned about ourselves. So this is the thing. It's easy to point the finger. It's easy to criticise because we've been doing it since time immemorial. So this is why we must be more tolerant. So we're in the shower. We're getting rid of these unwanted things, and everyone's in the same shower. They have different showers or whatever. And the point is, for some people it'll go quickly. It'll happen quickly, and for others it'll be slow. And what we're doing when we see faults in others, two things. we're not recognizing that this is a process which is working, but it will take time. So if someone's getting cleaned gradually, it's to be like, oh, you're not free of that anarta yet. Oh, well, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But gradually they'll become free. And then the other thing is, there are examples of devotees who have developed this humility and are displaying qualities of being pure devotees or being advanced devotees, and they're always there. They're always there. So it's best very important not to criticize. It's very important. We all do it, but if we want to advance, someone explained I heard it once. It's some sort of, it's like a bit of sense gratification. It's something the mind always does. We always, because of intelligence or because of whatever, we always go for the negative, but actually Krishna consciousness lies in the positive. Good things happen, so we should highlight the good things. And then the classic thing is flies go for the sores, and the bees always go for the honey. So one thing to do is, when we see faults in others, we must remember that when we see faults in others, it's a reflection of faults in ourselves. This is what it says in Shastra. And also, if we're seeing faults in others, let's begin with, okay, what's their good quality? So, Lord Chaitanya would do this. Before he chastised someone, he would first glorify them. He would find something good in them. Because if we don't find something good in someone, it means that we're not seeing Krishna in them. Krishna's in everyone. This spark of the divine is in everyone, the super soul. And so Krishna says, I'm ability in man. So everyone has some ability, some good quality about them. And when we learn to see that, then we're seeing Krishna in everyone. So this is it. This is Krishna consciousness. It may be someone's job or duty to analyse the situation and fault find. If you're a temple president or whatever, but for the devotee who wants to advance and is not in those positions, then it's much better to see the good in people. And it's difficult. It is difficult because it's Kali Yuga and it's a notion of faults. So faults are easy to find. But the good qualities, I remember this woman hit me on the head. She hit me on the head in the street, And I raised my hand. I didn't raise my hand to hit her. I raised my hand to stop her hitting me again, And then she backed off, And I went, it's okay, calm down. And then you could see that she was afraid, I thought, well, what sort of background did she come from? Where women were hit? Women would expect that, to be hit by a bloke. Unthinkable in my day. You wouldn't hit a woman. You wouldn't. That was it. So I'm just saying, and then and so she So I was trying to get them to chant the holy name, and then they were coming out with all this stupid stuff, going meh, 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 and saying something really silly, And I thought to myself, well, they had to listen to the holy name in order to respond with that silly comment. So they actually listened to the holy name. They didn't chant the holy name, but they listened. Even though they were going to reply with something stupid. So they made spiritual advancement. You know my point? So we could say, oh, I met some kids today and they just said stupid things to me, they were nonsense, blah, blah, blah. But no, the actual reality is that they made some spiritual advancements. They were going to do something stupid because of their background. But in order to do that stupid thing, they had to listen to me chant the holy name. You get my point? So there's always something positive in whatever situation. There's no material impediment to Krishna consciousness. So in any situation we're in, like we're saying in the verse, if we're constantly devoted to Krishna, Krishna will give you guidance from within. There's things happen in our lives, and the only reason they're perplexing is we can't see Krishna in the equation. That's the only reason. If everyone was perfect, why would we need spiritual masters? Why would we need Prabhupada's book? We wouldn't need them. wouldn't we? If everything was perfect. But everything's not perfect, it's Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga is a notion of faults, and we're in this material world since time immemorial. We've missed out on Lord Chaitanya, we've missed out on Srila Prabhupada, and now we're here, fortunately, we're fortunate enough to have access to Srila Prabhupada's books, and we're fortunate enough to have Prabhupada disciples on the planet, and so at least we can take the remnants of their association with Srila Prabhupada. And it says that the grandfather's more generous than the father, you know. So we're very, in one sense, we are fortunate because we're the next link in the chain of this Krishna consciousness movement, and we have to get it right, you know. So things aren't going to be perfect, but another thing is, which I forgot, because I'm in the same boat as well. I can, analyse something. This is wrong. That is wrong. Blah, 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 blah. But what are we doing? We're wasting time. Is it our service? Is it our service to correct it? It may not be our service. So we're wasting time from one, chanting the holy name. We're wasting time. We could have absorbed ourselves in reading Krishna, but we could have absorbed ourselves in reading the Bhagavatam. But instead, we're absorbing ourselves in fault finding. So that's one of the reasons why saintly people don't fault find, and that is the reason, because they value time. Time is very, very short. We haven't got time. Death is coming. There's people I know are dead, and they were devotees, and I knew them a couple of years ago. Then one day, bye. That was it. Kalipani, he went. You know Kalipani? No? He's a Prabhupada disciple. So there's people. So I didn't know he was going to die this year. So this happens. It could have been me. I could have clocked out. So this is the point. That was it. That the song, "The Serpent of Time, fearful in force, chasing everyone." So we don't know how long we've got. We've got to be really astute in our time management, because we haven't got much time. So this. Analysis, we're intelligent. When we fault find, is the misuse of the intelligence if it's not our service. So we should apply that intelligence, because Krishna consciousness is for intelligent people. We should apply it to Prabhupada's books, and Prabhupada inspires us. When we're reading Prabhupada's books, it becomes obvious that he's inspiring us to use our intelligence. And if we use our intelligence for spreading Krishna consciousness, then that's success. Because all we have to do is go outside and look at the mess. This delicate skin hides the mess we're in. We take it in turns till someone learns. Birth, death, old age, disease. Birth, death, old age, disease. And that's it. So we're stuck in this, in this comfortable rut. We're stuck in it. So it's only by reading Prabhupada's books and coming across his devotees who aren't perfect. It's only coming across his devotees that we have access to this knowledge. So we have to learn to see past the imperfections and see the glories of the devotees, and they are glorious. How many devotees are in this yatra? So few compared to the population. So out of many thousands of people, a few endeavour for perfection, and of those hardly anyone knows me in truth. That's how rare devotees are. They're very rare. And our duty is your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate together to push on this movement. This is what Srila Prabhupada said when he was leaving his body. He actually said that's what your love for me will, because your love will be shown by that. And it's all about humility and tolerance and patience. And we're actually not even interacting with ourselves. We don't know who we are. We can't see ourselves. Our true spiritual nature we cannot see. So we're just interacting with the modes of the material nature. We're reacting to people's karma. We're reacting to conditioning. And it's not even who they are. So we're just reacting to an illusion. So it's Maya's trick to actually keep us in this material world.
And the last question.
Yeah.
So going back to addictions and imperfections, so some people get rid of like you say, yes, God takes away very fast, and for some it takes 4 years to get rid of, say, smoking, illegal sex, or whatever. So And so why is it so different for everyone? Is it because of karma, previous lives, or why?
Well, ultimately, I've heard it said that sometimes.
2 weeks for you, but maybe 10 years for another
Yeah,
person.
well, that's the time it takes. Everyone's an individual. Everyone's got choice. We have a choice.
So it's not like karma.
We have.
It's your choice.
We have a choice. We have a personality. And Krishna knows how to deal with us, and he'll deal with us on an individual level. I've heard it said that some devotees have particular anatas when they're dealing with other devotees, and Krishna will keep those anatas there. Will keep them there because it's a way of purifying the other devotees who are advancing in Krishna consciousness. I've actually heard that, and then when that's done, then Krishna will take away that anatta. So it could be, Krishna is guiding every devotee individually. When Krishna does one thing, he'll do many things at the same time with one action. So ultimately, Krishna's in charge. And like I said, from that verse from the Nectar of Instruction, devotional service is so powerful, we'll be forcibly dragged to perfection. And it may take us so many years to give such and such up, or whatever, but that's the time it takes. And compared to the time we've been in this material world, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And once we gain perfection, we'll think there's no greater gain. That's all I can say. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
We just came from Lithuania by plane, so many questions.
Oh, good.
Tomorrow, Harinam. Maybe in street.
You want to Harinam?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, 12:30.
Harinama in streets?
Yeah, I'm doing a Harinam tomorrow.
12:30?
12:30. We meet just downstairs.
Yes.
Yeah, downstairs. Walking Harinam. If anyone wants to come.
6:30 in the evening lecture? No?
Are you doing a lecture?
Kirtan 6:30, Kirtan and then
6:30
and
here?
then reading, yes.
Okay, and on Sunday, 3 o'clock?
Reading.
Sunday.
And Sunday?
Yeah. Sunday 3 o'clock.
And Prasad, yes?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Harinam.
Yeah, Harinam tomorrow at 12:30. It'll be a big Harinam if everyone turns up. But if no one turns up, it'll be a small Harinam.
So you went like
Huh?
almost 3 o'clock you went. I could have been joining you if I knew.
Oh,
I could join you.
oh, good. Hare Krishna.